Tsubasa Kurata, a company programmer and a hardcore mecha otaku, is killed in a car accident. Tsubasa is reincarnated as a young boy named Ernest Echevalier in the Fremavilla Kingdom, in a world where magic exists. Travels in a horse-drawn carriage with his mother, Celestina Echevalier, and his grandfather, Laurie Echevalier. An insectoid demon beast then attacks the carriage, killing the horse and frightening off the driver. Laurie goes towards the demon beast that was eating the horse with his own sword, but it flies off. Celestina also casts a spell at it with her staff. However, a much larger demon beast descends upon the carriage, where Ernesty still sleeps. It picks up and crushes the carriage, and Ernesty falls to the ground. From out of the woods comes a fireball. Ernesty's father, Matthias Echevalier, is one of the Silhouette Knight pilots, and his unit is now in the pincers of the larger demon beast. Pinning Matthias's Silhouette Knight to the ground, the demon beast breathes fire onto the Silhouette Knight's head. The other Silhouette Knight uses its staff to cast a fireball spell, damaging the demon beast and freeing Matthias, so he can finish it off by stabbing the demon beast's underside with a sword. After witnessing his father Matthias defeating a demon beast in a mecha called Silhouette Knight, Ernesty is motivated to be a Silhouette Knight pilot, so that he too can ride one as well. During his magic training, which he excels, he befriends the twins, Addie and Kid, and also teaches them his advanced magical knowledge. When the trio finally enrolled at Lehiala Academy, directed by Ernesty's grandfather, Ernesty learns he cannot pilot a Silhouette Knight, as he is too young and short, but is allowed to skip to middle school classes, after impressing his teachers with his power, thanks to his Gunblade magic rod to compensate a magic rod's short-range abilities. As Ernesty becomes 12 years old, he joins a class training trip between the middle and high school students at Cloquet Forest, and meets Stefania Cerati, the Older's older half-sister, who the siblings share a complicated relationship, since Addie and Kid are legitimate children. Later that night, the class camp is attacked by a swarm of demon beasts, which Ernesty, Addie, and Kid rescue Stefania and the rest of the students with help of their high school seniors riding Silhouette Knights. Elsewhere, Behemoth, the giant demon beast tortoise, attacks the gates of Cloquet Forest. The commander orders him to request the knights for help. After all of them shoot fireballs at the behemoth, they jump down, readying their swords to attack its head and legs, but it is useless. Kuchel and another knight runner are crushed by the behemoth's feet, whereas Stude is knocked towards the castle wall by the behemoth's tail. The commander makes one last attempt with his unit leaping onto the behemoth's head, hoping to stab its left eye. Unfortunately, the hard eyelids close just before his sword could make a strike. The behemoth and its fiery breath instantly melt the commander inside it. Back at the students' camp, Ernesty realizes something big must have scared the demon beasts into going to their camp, and witness the behemoth appearing. As the students evacuate, the senior students' Silhouette Knights led by Edgar, Helvey, and Dietrich fight and distract the behemoth. After seeing one of his comrades killed by the behemoth's fire breath, Dietrich runs away in fear, which Ernesty follows him, knocks him out, and steals his Guar Silhouette Knight. After improvising the Guar's controls and improving its movements using his magic and programming, the behemoth slams its tail, quaking the ground around the Earlcumber, which nearly gets stepped upon. Helvey avoids its breath attack after being warned by Edgar. She launches a fireball at the behemoth's left eye, but it is no use. Suddenly, the Guar appears, leaping high in the air. Edgar thinks Dietrich is back. Ernesty enthusiastically attacks the behemoth with his sword and manages to stab its left eye. The Guardian Knights have made their way to the battlefield. Despite help from the kingdom's Silhouette Knights, the behemoth is too strong due to its thick armor and fire breath. In order to defeat it, Ernesty jumps onto the behemoth's head and casts lighting into its wounded eye, which transmit to its brain, finally killing it, before the Guar itself succumbs to the metal fatigue. At sunrise, the surviving night runners are shocked to discover Guar's pilot was not Dietrich but Ernesty. Having fun experienced riding a Silhouette Knight, Ernesty tells his friends that he plans to make a custom Silhouette Knight for himself. Meanwhile, the king of Fremavilla is informed about the 12-year-old child that defeated a division-class demon beast. Because of Ernesty's actions, the king is intrigued in him. Ernesty is summoned by the king, who wants to reward him any prize for defeating the behemoth. Much to the court and his grandfather's shock, Ernesty asks for the classified schematics of an ether reactor, the heart of a Silhouette Knight. When Ernesty explains he wants to make his dream Silhouette Knight and ride it as his hobby, the king is amused with his answer and agrees to Ernesty's request if he can build an improved Silhouette Knight first. One of the king's advisors, Marquis Zaladic, Stefania, Addie and Kid's father, tells his children to report to him if Ernesty is successful, so he may inform the king. Meanwhile, Ernesty explains his plan to improve a Silhouette Knight's performance to his dwarf friend, Batson, and his senior and Silhouette Knight engineer, David, who is impressed with Ernesty's idea. Using Helvi's Trandorkies as a testbed, Ernesty and the Dwarven engineers improves the Trandorkies' strength by 30% using stranded crystal tissues, and adds 2 sidearms armed with magic rods behind its back, so the Silhouette Knight can fight close range and cast spells at the same time. In the meantime, Ernesty and Batson also built Silhouette Gears, human-sized mech suits, so that Addy and Kid can learn how to operate Silhouette Knights. With the improvements done, the Trandorkies, now renamed Telesale, performs well in its first test run. Later, Helvi's Telesale battles Edgar's Urkumber in a mock match, and almost win before the Telesale Monitor runs out. Later that night, the engineers celebrate the Telesale's success and Ernesty thinks of more Silhouette Knight ideas, unaware that another group is spying on their work. While Ernesty and the engineers try to find a way to fix the Telesale's high mana consumption, Ernesty also builds weapons for the Silhouette Gears including an automatic crossbow. Addy and Kid reports to their father about the Telesale's performance, which he informs Dixgard. Under Dixgard orders, the Order of the Scarlet Rabbit has 3 Telesale Silhouette Knight brought to Fort Cassadas, where the Marquis will inspect and test the knights personally. During the journey, the Scarlet Rabbit convoy is ambushed by a Shaker Worm demon beast, which Edgar, Helvi, and Dietrich and their Telesales are able to defeat it, which impresses Knight Commander Fredholm of the Scarlet Rabbits. Unaware by everyone, the ambush was set up by order of the Bronze Fang, the spies who have been observing Ernesty's work. At Fort Cassadas, Dixgard, who objects to Ernesty's alteration of the knight design standard, meets Ernesty personally. After telling Ernesty that he will be reporting all new Silhouette Knight design to the king, Dixgard is shocked that Ernesty doesn't mind. Dixgard demands an explanation, and Ernesty reveals to him that he doesn't care about becoming famous or rich since he wants to make newer and better Silhouette Knight. Dixgard, who is still in shock, gives in and accepts the deal. As Ernesty's friends head to Fort Cassadas to get him, the Order of the Bronze Fang causes a demon beast attack at a nearby village to lure out the Order of the Scarlet Rabbit so they can attack Fort Cassadas. Edgar and Dietrich accompany Batson, David, Kid and Addy and their Silhouette Knights to Fort Cassadas. Meanwhile, Lady Kurhild and the Bronze Fang Knights manage to sneak into Fort Cassadas and hijack the fort's Silhouette Knights including the 3 Telesales. Despite Commander Fredholm and the Scarlet Rabbit Knight's attempts to stop them, Lady Kurhild and 2 of her subordinates escape the fort with 2 of the Telesales. However, the Bronze Fang Knights encounter Edgar and Dietrich on the way, which the latter 2 tries to stop them with Kid and Addy helping in their Silhouette Gears. Upon learning from Batson and David on what happened to the stolen Telesales, Ernesty is Silhouette Gear and helps Commander Fredholm defeat the intruders in the fort. Elsewhere, Dietrich, Kid and Addy manages to defeat Lady Kurhild's subordinates, while she herself defeats Edgar and escapes to Forest. Dietrich tries to follow her, but he and the others are surrounded by demon beasts, until Ernesty and Commander Fredholm arrives to help them to kill all demon beasts. The next morning, Dixgard is shocked to discover the intruders that attacked the fort and stole the Telesale were using cursed bait, a forbidden concoction that attracts demon beasts and turns them crazy, and concludes this was the work of another nation. Days later, Ernesty and his friends are thanked by King Ambrosius for their work, who also creates a new order of knights called the Order of the Silver Phoenix led by Ernesty to research and create better Silhouette Knights. A recovering Edgar promises Helvi that he will retrieve the stolen Telesale, as it was actually her Silhouette Knight. As a Telesale is sent to the Silhouette Knight Laboratory, the Fremavilla Kingdom top research lab, whose directors hope to reverse engineer it and make their own mass-produced Silhouette Knights to impress King Ambrosius. Ernesty and the Order of the Silver Phoenix begin their work on creating newer and improved Silhouette Knights with help from Dixgard, who delivers 2 Silhouette Knight companies of Caldatos as base models, and Nora Frickberg and the Order of the Azure Hawk capturing the spies, who help the Bronze Fang Knights and prevent any more leaks of information from the Academy. Ernesty creates Silhouette Gears for the Knightsmiths to ease their workload, and new Silhouette Knight designs and improvements to be added. However, David criticizes Ernesty for being too focused in his work, when his test of using rockets on a Silhouette Knight almost gets him killed. After creating a 2-seater cockpit for Addy and Kid, a Silhouette Knight shaped like a centaur, and magical daggers uses as keys to start a Silhouette Knight to prevent another hijacking attempt, Ernesty and the Order of the Silver Phoenix heads to the capital to face against the Silhouette Knight Laboratory's Caldato Darsh models in front of King Ambrosius and his ministers. The match between the Order of Silver Phoenix and the laboratory team ends in a draw. Due of the new units' enhanced power, they were unable to defeat less developed units, but with more experienced pilots. Sometime later, Ernesti and his friends graduate from Lehiala and move with the rest of the Order to Fort Oropsius to dedicate themselves to Silhouette Knight development, and King Ambrosius decides to retire and leave the kingdom to his son, Leodemus. He then approaches Ernesti and asks him to develop new, exclusive Silhouette Knights for him and his grandson, Prince Imris. The Order then produces 2 units with the same capabilities, one colored silver, Gilberiga, and the other colored gold, Goldleo. When both decide to choose Goldleo, Ambrosius and Imris decide to settle it with a duel, with Imris claiming the victory and Ambrosius accepting Gilberiga. Ernesti soon realizes that Ambrosius was actually testing his grandson's skills. When a large group of shell-cased beasts head for Ulfheim, the city where the ether reactors are developed and home of the Owl, the Order of Silver Phoenix is dispatched to help defend it, along with Ambrosius and Imris. With the power of the new units, Ernesti and the others easily defeat the attackers, with Ernesti killing the shell-cased queen by himself. After the battle, Ambrosius finally accepts Ernesti's request to let him learn the secret of how ether reactors are created, and takes him to Ulfheim, where he is granted permission from the Great Elder Kitli, the leader of the Elves. He then spends 3 months there to learn the process and returns with Ambrosius's permission to use the catalysts of the Behemoth and the shell-cased queen he killed to create a custom ether reactor and use it to complete his own personal Silhouette Knight, Ikaruga. The Zaladic kingdom starts a war to conquer the entire western continent. Using their newest models of Silhouette Knights and transport airships, the forces of Zaladic easily bypass the defenses of the kingdom of Kushpercha. With defeat inevitable, the king requests a duel with the commander of the Zaladic forces, Prince Cristobal, to buy enough time for his daughter, Princess Eleonora, to escape. The king loses and is killed, but Eleonora ends up captured by the enemy forces, along with her Aunt Martina and cousin Isidola, who are also King Leodemus' sister and niece respectively. In response, Leodemus sends the Order of Silver Phoenix along with Imris to investigate the situation, and after easily defeating the enemies guarding the border, they discover that their Silhouette Knights have the same technology as the Telesale stolen from Fort Cassadas, concluding that the thieves were tied with Zaladic. Upon hearing that Eleonora is being forced to marry Cristobal, Ernesti and the others start making plans to rescue her, but news about their presence reach Cristobal, who sends Gustav Mardons to track them down. Upon meeting Ernesti's party, Gustav attacks them, but when they prove themselves too strong for him, he retreats, assisted by Lady Curhild. Later that night, they infiltrated the Tower of Castle, where the princess and the others is being kept. Using special silhouette gears, the Order of Silver Phoenix successfully rescue Eleonora, Martina and Isidola. Cristobal sends a party to chase after them, but their pursuers are easily defeated by Ernesti's Ikaruga and forced to flee. Once reaching safety, Ernesti's party establishes a base at Nishiri and agree to provide the remaining Kushperchan forces with upgrades to their Silhouette Knights in exchange for the scraps of all enemy units defeated by them. With these new upgrades, the Kushperchan easily fend off an enemy attack on the city, and Lady Curhild is ordered to launch a surprise attack on the Silver Phoenix's base to recapture the princess, in exchange of having her family's name restored. However, Ernesti and his friends were prepared and easily defeat and capture the Bronze Fang Knights, with Lady Curhild battle against Edgar. He effortlessly overcomes Lady Curhild using his advanced Silhouette Knight. Cristobal leads a large force of Silhouette Knights and airships to crush the Kushperchan forces at their stronghold and capture Eleonora. However, he falls into a trap made by the Order of Silver Phoenix, who now possess javelin missiles to take down their airships. With his forces routed due to the Silver Phoenix's superior Silhouette Knights, Cristobal's airship tries to escape only to be confronted by the Ikaruga. Ernesti easily defeats Cristobal in battle, which the latter tries to bribe Ernesti to join his side. But when Ernesti admits of no interest in nobility, Cristobal falls to his death rather than suffer humiliation of being captured, weakening the morale of his forces, causing them to retreat. Eleonora becomes Queen of Kushperchan and declares the rebirth of their nation, as the combined Silver Phoenix and Kushperchan forces retake their lands. Horatio Gages, Zalodic's top scientist, promises Princess Catalina that he will build a new weapon to avenge her brother's death. Months later, the Silver Phoenix and Kushperchan forces finally retake a fortress held by Zalodic, but Horatio's new weapon, a giant airship shaped like a drake, attacks them. The Viver, Zalodic's newest weapon, battles the Ikaruga, whose captain Dalodio Mardones wants to avenge Cristobal's death. Meanwhile, a Zalodic force led by Dalodio's son, Gustavo, battles Dietrich and his men, but Gustavo is forced to abandon his Silhouette Knight after Dietrich tricks him into exhausting his mana supply. Ernesti is unable to take down the Viver due to its defenses, and is forced to land the Ikaruga after the Viver's chaff smoke damages its jet engines. The Viver is forced to withdraw after exhausting its mana trying to destroy the Ikaruga. As Ernesty and his allies withdraw, Horatio repairs and installs a bigger ether reactor in the Viver to give it more power, and Gustavo receives the Zalodic's royal family silhouette knight, Alcalorix, by Princess Catalina. Meanwhile, after discussing their battle plans, the Silver Phoenix and Cushperchans agree to Eleonora's strategy, where she will lead the entire Cushperchan army to recapture their capital Delvincull. As the Cushperchans fight the Zalodics at the last fortress that leads to Delvincull, the Viver arrives, with Horatio on board, to attack Eleonora's position only to discover Ernesty has repaired and improved a captured airship to fight them. After drawing the Viver away from the battlefield, Ernesty's party launches an attack with javelin missiles loaded with oil that, once ignited, surrounds the enemy ship in flames. In response, Dolodio activates the Viver's Dragon Blood reactor that surrounds it with a massive energy shield. Meanwhile, on land, an infiltration party hijacks the drawbridge controls, allowing the Cushperchan forces to invade, while Gustavo is defeated by Edgar with Emrys' help. Back to the sky, Ernesty breaks through the Viver's energy shield and attacks it directly, defeating it. In a last effort, Dolodio takes control of the Viver and attempts to ram it on the Cushperchan base camp to kill Eleonora, but Ernesty and Kid stop him, taking down the Viver for good. After the battle, the Cushperchan forces take control of Delvincull and Catalina poisons herself to death to avoid capture, thus ending the war with Zalodic's defeat and Eleonora recognized as Cushperchan's de facto ruler. Once returning home, Ernesty is watched by Far From Horatio, who survived the Viver's destruction and departs to look for another country to sell his services to, longing to face Ernesty in battle again. Back to Flemavilla, Ambrosius commends the Order of Silver Knights for their efforts, and awards Ernesty with his own laboratory, while the airship's technology is spread along the neighboring countries, ushering a new era of trade and transportation across the continent. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe. The anime name Knights and Magic.